In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White, where we discuss the issues plaguing the underserved and marginalized communities and how we can best help to solve those problems. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We have a young man here that is going to give us a lot of information alluding to what it is to do business. We have Mr. Selvin Hicks, who is the founder of Manifest the Market, a platform that empowers entrepreneurs through personalized coaching, networking events, and strategic growth solutions. With a deep background in sales, marketing, and leadership, Selvin has spent years helping businesses refine their customer acquisition strategies and scale sustainability. Before launching Manifest the Market, Selvin honed his expertise in various industries, from real estate to digital marketing. He led teams, built successful sales processes, and worked directly with entrepreneurs to help them overcome obstacles to growth. As a certified business coach, Selvin is committed to providing actionable insights and tailored strategies that help entrepreneurs build lasting businesses. His dedication to fostering collaboration and community within the entrepreneur ecosystem sets him apart as a leader in his field. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to the show Mr. Selvin Hicks. Hello, sir.
What's going on, man? How you doing, Mr. King?
I'm doing just excellent. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm very blessed to be here, man. That was one heck of an intro right there. That was
Well, see, I'm really happy to have you on the show, and what you do is some things I think are really, really wonderful, especially for those that are looking to become entrepreneurs, ones that are entrepreneurs that need to build, and how you can best help them out. Is there anything you'd like to add to your bio before we start the show?
I don't even want to mess it up, man. Look, you did a heck of a job.
Well, so we can get started. And can you tell us, can you describe your journey into becoming a business consultant and coach?
Ooh, okay. Look, it's a long journey, man. But it's probably started when I'm gonna take it way back to the beginning. So my dad owned a life insurance company, and I was really raised to take over that company. I was raised to actually be a field agent, and from that experience, I think it started molding me into the whole entrepreneurial mindset, and I wanted to actually own my own business one day. He wanted me to take over the company, and to a certain degree, I wanted to as well, but I really wanted to be a lawyer, right? So I went to college. I ended up getting kicked out of college, and we'll get into a little bit about that later, but I got kicked out of school, and from there, I kind of leaped into entrepreneurship while everybody would be going to college, like 18, 19, 20, 21. I ended up finding my way in entrepreneurship, working for a lot of entrepreneurs, and then I jumped into my own space. And through all of that experience, I learned a lot of what to do and what not to do in different industries. And then I went into business for myself. And from that, spurred a huge life change around 34 years old. And from that point, I started Manifest the Market, and Manifest the Market started letting me bring a lot of businesses together, and I realized that I had a lot more information that I was giving myself credit for due to my experiences. And from there, we pivoted, and I just started helping people, and just started charging, and people started paying, and the rest is history.
So wait a minute, did you say 33 is how old you are?
No, I'm actually 36.
Wow, I thought you was like 25, 30 years old.
Look, man, I'm headed towards 40. I'm headed towards 40.
Well, so what inspired you to focus on consulting and coaching within your field?
Well, honestly, I don't even coach in a specific field or industry or sector. I actually consult in various spaces. But what actually inspired me to do it was when I started speaking. I gave my first presentation in October, actually. And when I started speaking about businesses, people actually asked me to coach. And that right there kind of sparked everything, man. It's not something that I ever saw myself doing. It's not something that I really had a strong passion to like pursue. But once I got into it, it was the helping people aspect of it and pouring into other people that really motivated me to keep going. And now that I'm in it, I really love it, man. So yeah, it's kind of odd, like the journeys that we take to get to the destinations that we stand on. But I'm not complaining. No complaints.
Well, so as you mentioned that, so like, is it like when because you were being asked so much to do these things, and you already had some ideas, I'm assuming, as to where you wanted to go, how you wanted to do things. What was it about, your first speaking and coaching that just made you feel so comfortable to continue and to grow into this point?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. When I gave my first presentation, there was a lot that happened that day. My parents, because I come from nightlife, I did a lot of events in the entertainment industry and concerts and moving around a lot, right? But that was the first time that my parents ever came to an event. I actually met my now woman at that event, and it was at a venue for one of my mentors owned. And there was a lot of special stuff going on in that day. I spoke and I really just gave a presentation, and people really like applauded. People had questions. I was answering questions. I was really nervous about the question aspect of like speaking. But once I started doing it, my mentor actually came up and encouraged the crowd to tell me to coach, because he said, Selvin just gave you so much information. I don't even think that you guys understand. People charge thousands of dollars for what he's doing right now. And I really just did it out of the kindness of my heart. And literally people were tagging me. People were on Instagram. People were making whole posts about my presentation. And they're saying, you have a calling to coach. You are definitely a coach. And I ended up with like 7 leads just that day that actually people wanted me to coach them. And then from there, I was able to convert a couple. And, I just, like I said, once that ball start rolling, you just never try to turn back from it.
Right.
The difficult part about it, though, is when you own your own business and you're consulting. That's the balance where I think a lot of people misconstrue, because as a consultant, you have to pour so much energy and time into other people's businesses. And sometimes you can actually not give your own the attention. I'm not just in the business of being a consultant. I actually have a business myself. So, teetering that line. And that was a struggle as well. But yeah, we'll get into all of this.
So let me just ask you this, because as you came into your own of where you are now at this point, how does your story fit into where you are now, and what are the main services that you offer as a business consultant? How do they all mesh?
Can you repeat the question? Because I want to make sure I answer it.
Okay. So how does your story from where you started to where you are now, how does that mesh with you having the main services you offer as a business consultant? How do they mesh together?
You know what? I think my story meshes with my services in a way that's unique because of my life story, right? I actually have been arrested 19 times. I got 12 felonies. I got 5 misdemeanors. I've been through like I said, I'm 36. I look a lot younger, but I've had a lot of life in these 36 years. It's kind of compact. And so even for me saying I've been in a trap house and I've been to gayless. So I have the ability to connect with a wide variety of people, and it transcends business, and it goes into mindset. It goes into your foundational roots. No matter what space and what level you're on, I'm able to connect with you mentally, and I'm able to attach myself to your vision and help you bring that to life. So the services that I really offer are really basic packages. Is like a mutation package where you sign on. Then I have the ability to where I can craft a 6 to 12 month plan for you in your entire business based on conversations in a form that you fill out. And then there's the in-house consultation fee. That's like the premier package, where I come into your business and I actually am hands-on within your business for 3 months. And if you want to extend, you can extend it. But I think I can get the results that you're looking for, and I can have all of your systems automated by the end of that 3 month period, to where you no longer need me. And that's my goal. My goal is to help you so that you no longer need me, not help you so that you will forever need me. And I think that's real special because, like I said, business owner having a time, and that component of it is a major thing. And so people really feel like I'm really helping them, man. And I think that is how my past and my journey kind of tie into my services.
Wow. Well, I mean, and it sounds like you are that hands-on individual that actually gets in, and when you put yourself into the business, does that mean that, as you're doing those services, that you take it on as your own, and that's how you jump into it, to where it's like it's just all you and you make it happen?
Yes. So it'll look like we're partners in a way, right? I'm the person, you had a good year, you got a friend in or you have a friend in the diamond industry, K Jewelers, or whichever one of those jewelers are, you have a friend in the diamond industry, you have a friend in business in me. And so you can call on me, whatever it is that you need, right? And because I've had all of the experiences that I've had, it actually, like the array of services that I can actually provide and the networks that I actually have access to is really cool. Like I have a client that I worked with recently where she actually shot a short film, and her editing for a competition was a little off. And because I have a lot of friends that do editing and a lot of friends that actually operate in film and television, I'm able to get her these things relatively quickly. Whereas somebody who would have to be a consultant in the film industry or a consultant in TV to have these kind of networks, I'm able to just kind of reach out into my network and pull these people to come help my clients, right? Another instance where I'm working with a fashion designer and he needed manufacturing. I literally got on the phone and called one of my close friends who actually owns a clothing business and pulled him and his resources to get him a list of 50 manufacturers. Just like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually your partner. And so you tell me what you need. We come up with a set of goals that we want to check out this entire month. And from that month, we're partners. And I'm going to make sure that we check everything off on this list.
Oh, wow. That's cool. And so how do you tailor your coaching strategies to meet the needs of different clients?
You can't have a cookie cutter system. Everybody doesn't need the same thing. Some people might have a sales issue. Some people might have a marketing. Some people might have a budgeting issue. Some people may just have a branding problem. So because you have all of these different issues within the businesses, it gives you the kind of creative space to say, oh, this is your issue. This is how I see we can fix that. And that's pretty much how it's done. Like, it's literally off my creative mind and whatever God tells me to do. He's going to send me, I don't want to say it sounds like a whack job, but he's going to tell me what to do. If my company, like you said, I founded Manifest the Market, right? Now that sounds spiritual in nature, but I have a company called Selvin Presents now. And that's the main umbrella company over everything. And what God gives to me, I give to you. This is kingdom business. This is God given instructions for me to kind of come in and work on your business. And so I'm really intentional about who I work with. I don't work with everybody. I'm really intentional with whose company I can put my hands on, because if you're not in alignment with me and I'm not in alignment with him, this ain't gonna work. So everything has to be in sync and synchronicities. Not 111, not 222, not those kind of synchronicities. I'm talking about the synchronicities of the heart. And that's really why I'm really selective with who I actually work with.
Oh wow. So for those young people that are watching now that are inspired to be entrepreneurs, what is some of the things that you can say to them that they should think about in order to getting into fields or areas such as the consulting and the coaching that you do?
If you are aspiring to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to tell you the most important piece of information is don't give up. Never be so focused on how you get there, but just understand that you're moving towards the destination. That is probably the most important thing, because you might be so focused on how you get there and you're like, I have to do it like this, I have to do it like this, I have to do it like this, and that's not the way. You'll keep running into a brick wall that way. Be obsessed with the goal, but not obsessed with the journey, I would say. Fall in love with that as well, but you really got to figure out what it is that you want in this world and just let that be it, man. And it's hard. I'm trying to tell you, you're going to want to give up. You're going to want to quit. It's going to kick your butt day in and day out. Don't not think that this is easy. Don't get on TikTok and social media and YouTube and let these people trick you into thinking that it's easy as I want to do this and I'm going to do this. For some people it is, but for the vast majority, it's not. Everybody can't do it. That's why it's called one percenters. So you got to put your faith in the right place. You got to put your faith in God and put your faith in you being able to hear from him. And once all of that is in alignment, you'll go. And just because you can't get there right now does not mean that you will never get there. Think of it as you're loaded. Think of it as you're preparing. Think of it as you are getting ready to get all of the blessing that you deserve when you reach that destination. And so every time that you've been sidestepped and you've been feeling like you're taking one step forward and three steps backwards, it's all a part of the journey, man. It's all a part of the journey. So don't think that it's supposed to be left, right, left, right, left, right till you get there. You're going to take.
Okay.
10,
You're frozen.
Take 50 seconds. Oh, I'm frozen.
Okay, you was frozen.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, you're not frozen now. You was. So can you share a success story from your consulting or coaching work that you're particularly proud of?
Honestly, and this goes.
Hello? You're frozen again. Okay, you're back now. You were frozen. Now I can't hear you. I can't hear you now. Your volume. I can't hear you. No. Mm-mm. Okay.
Okay. Am I good?
Now, now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I can't see you, but we good.
Oh, you can't see me?
Look, Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm telling you, the enemy trying to stop something, but he ain't gonna win.
Okay. So that last question that I was asking you about sharing a success story from your consulting or coaching work that you're particularly proud
So
of.
I actually have one of my clients. She owns an oxygen bar and a wellness and body contouring company. She's actually my first six-figure client, or she's headed to be my first six-figure client. Me taking somebody who did not make six figures and preparing them to actually take that leap. Now, I'm not going to sit here and take credit. She was making about $4,000 or $5,000 a month previously, but we actually getting her. She's rounding into $10,000 a month, and it's literally off small things like price shifts, and packages and tiers. I think she's literally my favorite success story because she's probably the most unlikely story. If you met her, you probably wouldn't think that she's doing half the things that she's doing. And I think that's so cool to watch somebody's business blossom and grow. And it's because of the things that you're actually doing. And outside of that, like I said, watching my woman's business, like she's probably the closest next to me. And just watching her business flourish. She's not going to give me all the credit, and I don't think that it's right for her to give me all of the credit. But just like the small things that I do see her take from me, and the information that I'm able to give off, I think that is really cool to watch her business flourish as well. So those two things I would say are like my biggest success stories to date.
Okay. And so, well, what are your biggest challenges you see businesses facing in today's economic climate?
Noise. I see everybody facing the noise. It's a lot of noise on social media, and it's a lot of people selling false narratives, and I think people have a false sense of what success actually looks like. And because they're not able to hold their own vision, they're basing it off of the things that they see on social media and see in the world. They don't really value success as you being better today than you were yesterday. You have a false sense of reality, so to speak. I think that's the biggest misconception. And people greatly misvaluing the work that they actually have to do, right? Like you might sit here and say, I'm sending out 200 emails a day and I'm not getting the conversions that I want to get. Well, you probably are really underestimating what you have to do. Maybe you have to send out 1,000 emails a day. Maybe you have to send out 5,000 a week. So people just are not looking at things as like through a realistic scope sometimes. I think that's the biggest challenges that I'm seeing in today's business climate.
So when you see things like that, and let's say if you came across a client like that, how would you help them to understand to move away from that and to go forward?
Honestly, I would not do that, so to speak. I wouldn't tell them that. I would just show them that, because a lot of what I do is based on analytics. You understand? So
Right.
if you can argue with people all day, but you can't argue with data. So if I'm sitting here and I'm showing you that you reached 5,000 people this week, but you were only able to convert 2%, you can't argue with me. You know what I'm saying? I can say that you did cold outreach and you sent out 2,500 emails and you were able to close 4%. So maybe you should adjust your workload to where you're sending out more emails and doing less advertising. You know what I'm saying? So I can kind of shut out the noise based off of the analytics, but you gotta put a little skin in the game for you to get the analytics. And so if you are a new business owner, it might be a little more difficult for me to do that. But if you've been in business for a while, it's easier to see. It's easier for me to go back into your data and say, this is what you're doing, this is what's working, this is what's not working. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think to tackle that situation like that with the analytics. Does that mean that? So let me make sure we're on the same page here, because that means like you take what's actually been done and you use that to manifest the positivity and the growth of the business.
I'm not manifesting the growth. No, I'm not manifesting the growth. The growth is manifesting itself based on your work. So, all right. So my definition of manifest is.
Well, I mean, when I say not you, but I mean, but the business itself is manifesting from those numbers when you tell them about the analytics.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. It's the truest statement in the world, man. The numbers are going to tell you everything that's going on. You know, I can sit here and we can go back and forth, but your conversion rate is going to be what it is. You know, I can't argue with that. You have a 0.04% conversion rate. And
so can you tell us how do you measure the success of your consulting engagements?
Now this is tough because so you can do something for someone in a coaching capacity and it doesn't show up in a consultation capacity, right? So I can make somebody just feel a certain way about their business, and that affects the way that they work on their business versus me actually putting my hands on something and doing something within their business to actually inflate the actual sales, right? So it's hard to do.
Right.
Like I can motivate you and now you're just working harder and you're seeing results. Or I can go in and I can tweak something and it actually works and now you're seeing better results. So it depends on who I'm dealing with. And I think the best way to work on somebody's business is to have them work on themselves. If I can spark something within you and now you're going harder and then I'm tweaking something on the other side and it's working, it just creates a synergy within the business that's going to consistently provide results. So I think that's the best way for me to gauge it, but it's different for everybody. Yeah. I wish it was cookie cutter and so simple, man. But
well, I think but I think in the case of As You Speak, though, I mean, cookie cutter is definitely not good because I think if you're like cookie cutter, then you can expect the same, but you can't really expect real growth or real expansion because you have to stay within. So I definitely understand that. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Look, if you like it, I love it. That's what I tell people. You like it, I love it. I try to make as much sense as possible, man.
So, in what ways do you stay current with business trends and best practices?
Because I actually own a business and I'm utilizing these things that I'm teaching and talking to you about in my own. That's the best way to stay current. Like, man, look, I used to think of it as a hindrance that I'm actually going through some of my valleys and peaks while I'm in this business, but it's actually an advantage because the things that I'm doing that's working, I can look at and say, oh, this works for this. It could possibly work for this. I can have a client that's in the restaurant industry and a client that's in the body contouring industry, and the same thing could work for both companies because this is a trend that's happening right now. You understand? So I'm also taking what I'm doing in entertainment and I'm saying, okay, this is working. It works for me. Let me see how it works for you. And I'm gauging the results. That's probably the best way to stay current. And also reading, putting yourself in great environments, going to other networking events, not being so one-dimensional, listening to other lectures, continuing my education. I have 5 certificates. I really want to have 7 by the end of this year. So those things that you're doing, you're constantly working on yourself. It shows up in your business as well. So outside of what I'm currently doing for myself and these other businesses that I'm seeing that's working, I'm also educating myself.
So what key skills do you believe are essential for someone looking to excel in business consulting?
Man, a working system. I think that you have to have a working system. I think that you have to be able to look at things objectively and take your own personal touches out of it for the good of somebody else's business, and understanding that everything that you think is good is not good for them because your vision is not their vision. Being able to have a level of empathy, which is hard sometimes, being able to have a level of empathy as well as still guide them in the right way for the best interest of their respective business. I think that's a real key skill. If you can take yourself outside of it and just look at the pure analytics, the numbers, the data, and say this, but still put their human aspect into it to say this is what they want. You understand? Because I can think that something is dope and it makes so much sense, but if it's not headed in the direction that they want, it doesn't matter because they're not going to be inspired, they're not going to be motivated, and they're not going to want to do it.
So, how do you leverage technology to enhance your consulting and coaching services?
Look, you gotta leverage all of these tools, man. It's so simple. ChatGPT is one of my best friends. Suno is one of my best friends. Opus is one of my best friends. Gemini is one of my best friends. I utilize these artificial intelligence tools to give me a better, a broader perspective on certain things, right? Now, if I have a client that's in the medical billing industry, which I do, right? I don't understand medical billing in a generic sense, but I understand it in a practical sense. And so you can put in information into these artificial intelligence tools to better give you insights, and then you put your own twist and your own navigation system within that insight, if that makes sense, right? If you need me to go deeper, I can.
No, actually, because I definitely get that, and what I wanted to add to that, I want to add a little bit more of a flair to that, because your energy is so positive and it's so bright. Can you tell us what is it that brought you to the spiritual sense that you're in right now, that's got you in such a very special place?
Life, man. Life. 6 months ago, you would not I probably would have been positive, but it would have been different, because I wouldn't have this favor over me. I wouldn't have this covering over my life and what it is that I'm touching. God is real. God has shown himself to be real, even realer in these past few weeks to me. I've been able to accept him in my life. And I think me accepting him has allowed him to operate in a stronger sense, man. I can't even begin. I'll start to stuttering if you start asking me too many questions about it, because I'm still trying to understand it myself. But God has been working through me. I pray that he continues to work on me so that he can continue to work through me. And I just got to give it to him, man. He's just showing out on my behalf, and I think people are just starting to notice. I feel like I'm a tool in his arsenal. I feel like my story is a testimony, and the more that I speak to that as I transition outside of this consultation space and into this speaker spectrum, you'll see it shine even brighter, man. I feel like it's him. I'm not taking no credit for that,
Well, as I talked to you a little bit here before the show, and I was telling you about, like, the TikTok videos that you have been doing. How I was really impressed with those. What led you to start doing those videos? Because it sounded like a whole lot of consultation that you do and coaching, but in a different way, to where it's like it's a teaching moment. What got you into that?
It's so weird. So every morning at 7 o'clock, I try to. It varies sometimes, but every morning, or at least once a day, I go on a walk, and on that walk, I find it to be my quiet time with God, where I get my quote unquote downloads. And what it is certain things stand out to you during the day, no matter if you're a spiritual or not. Certain things are going to stand out to you in your day. And I'm getting an urge to just say, speak on this. I'm getting an urge to say, talk about this topic, talk about this person, talk about this situation. And like, again, I don't want it to sound too cliche, but he's giving me everything that I'm giving to y'all. So I might sit there in the park for about 15 minutes or read a Bible verse, and it's saying, this is this, talk about this. And I'll just go speak about it. So you might see me talk about leveraging AI. I'm sitting in the park and I'm just talking about artificial intelligence. Or you might see me talk about relationships, or how I want to show up for my woman. I'm sitting in a park, or me and her might have just had a conversation. I slept on it. Now I'm in the walk with a park, and it's saying, talk about this. And it's a feeling, man. It's a feeling. That's I'm just compelled and I'm convicted to talk about certain things.
All right. So let's transition over to your community work.
Okay.
So tell us, what role does community engagement play in your career as a consultant and coach?
What role does community engagement play in my
Mhm.
role to be a consultant and coach? Um, I don't think that my desire to be in a community is correlated to being a consultant or a coach. My desire to be in a community initially came from me just wanting to give back. Before I was like paying tithes and stuff, it was my version of I want to give back to the community. I want to do things to help people. I want to do things to inspire and motivate. Manifest the Market was founded on three principles: inspiration, motivation, and education. And that's exactly how I wanted everybody to leave my events. And so that was the primary focus on that brand. And I think even after Manifest the Market is far gone, that'll still be a big piece of me. I just want to inspire people. I want to motivate people, and I want to educate people. Whether I'm getting paid for it or not, I'm still going to do it in some way, form, or fashion.
Hmm. Okay, can you describe some of the community initiatives you've been involved with?
So we did a Feed the Homeless initiative. I went to speak in a couple of schools. I went to speak in a couple of education platforms, after school programs. I want to reach the kids. To date, I've only been doing this for a few months, like I said, so I don't have a wide variety of community initiatives, but I do know for sure I'm going to feed the homeless again this Christmas. I do know for sure I want to get back in the schools. I do know for sure I want to speak at colleges. And as I'm embarking on this new speaker journey, that is going to be the first point of contact, me going to these middle schools and these high schools to start speaking about how I made a lot of mistakes in life and try to guide them out of making those mistakes for trying to be cool or trying to fit in and trying to be a part of something that you're really not supposed to be a part of anyway, man. I think reaching the kids is probably the most important part because it's the hardest thing to do, especially with these YNs today. You know, this is one of the hardest things to do. They don't listen like we used to. They think that they know everything, and they need to be impressed, and they need to see somebody that they can relate to, which is where I think that, you know, having this youthful energy and this youthful face will come in handy. So I really want to work my move in these schools in the next summer and this fall semester.
Okay. And so, what motivated you to include community work as a focus in your career?
I think my dad, watching my dad, he worked with kids my entire childhood. Sports teams, he was a coach. He did the boys program. He did after school programs. He worked in community centers with underprivileged youth. And just watching him do all of that work throughout his life, I think to certain capacity, it made me want to kind of get into it. But I didn't really connect the dots until just now.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I think as you're going through your journey, which is a really good journey, and I can see the path is definitely a positive path. That I think that you are probably going to be one of those few but rare individuals that are going to be able to touch an enormous amount of people because I think the authenticity and the actual empathy and the sympathy that you want to give in order to give back is something that a lot of people are more than just going to be accepting of, but it's going to draw more and more people to you because a lot of times some people have natural things for them, but they don't realize it. As you're saying, it's happening. You don't know why. You don't question it. You just do what you do. But some people just have it that natural way. And I think starting like right now, I know for the people that are seeing you here on the show tonight, I'm sure that you're going to touch an enormous amount of people. So I'm expecting a really big pour back, for people wanting to know a whole lot more as to how to get in touch with Mr. Hicks, because you've got a lot that I think people should want to know about and how they can do some things.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
How do you assess the needs of the community before launching your initiatives?
God, and this is going to be a repetitive answer throughout this entire interview, man. It's more so I feel the need to do this. Like I don't even know what made me. I've never wanted to feed the homeless a day in my life, man. I used to actually argue with homeless people, like get away from me, stop, leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? But certain things you just kind of feel like I want to do this. I want to do this, and so I actually did an event to fundraise it, and then I took the profits from that and I invested into going to feed the homeless. And I know that the more I do it, the more partners I get, and the bigger it'll become. But like I just feel like this is something that you should do. Like, excuse me, like going into schools, I feel like that's what's needed. I feel like this, like go do this, Selvin. That's what you should be doing. And like you just gotta follow that feeling. You just gotta follow the feeling, man. Hopefully. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying hopefully like I'll get bigger and stronger initiatives to do more and more, man. But right now I know that being in the school systems and feeding the homeless are the two things that are like on my mind. What's in my direct sights. But I gotta dream bigger a little bit when it comes to certain stuff. So, you know, maybe doing clothes drives and clothing the homeless and giving them stuff that they need and doing product drives where they're getting stuff to clean themselves, hygiene products and stuff like that, so we can also pass out. And it's not just the homeless, but you know, battered, abused women. You know, like I'm not even gonna sit here and act holier than now, man. Like it's different phases of my life where I know I impacted things negatively from being a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? Want to help people that's on drugs. From you know, I put my hands on a woman, so I want to help abused women. Like I'm not that same person. I am transformation. I am change, and so when I see things that I've negatively impacted throughout my life, now this time to flip the switch. Now it's the time to go out and make positive impacts and not just let it be that and say, hey, I'm different now. No, let's go out and still be that impact and start showing these people that we different. And I ain't gonna get too much into to that, but it's real, man. Like you gotta do good in spaces that you did bad in, you know?
Yeah.
I promoted strip clubs. Why I can't promote the church? You know,
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, wow. Can you share a memorable experience from your community work that impacted you deeply?
You know what? Man, I'm gonna say this. When I fed the homeless, I was surprised at how picky they were about what I was feeding them. And it just inspired me and motivated me to be able to do a little bit more next time, right? Like we passed out certain stuff. They chips and bologna sandwiches and desserts and all of this stuff. They were bringing it back and asking for different stuff. I had a couple of them tell me that they were vegan and that they needed vegan options. And so like that really like touched me in a way to where it's like, oh, you think that these people just need, but they still have preferences. They still people too. Right. And so next time we go out there, let's have some vegan options. Next time we go out there, let's have the vegan snacks and the desserts and all of that stuff that we were giving. I was just in my mindset like they need it, let's give it. But having a variety of options to actually fill the need of the homeless, you know. So that was definitely memorable about how picky some of them were. Like some of them gave the sandwiches back, man, and said I can't eat it. And I was like, wow.
Oh man. So how do you promote entrepreneurship within the communities you serve?
By being an example of entrepreneurship. I feel like that's the best way to do it. A lot of people can do this, but I think by showing the action of waking up every day and pursuing your dreams, that's the best way to inspire somebody or to push an agenda is, you know, just be yourself. And I think the natural light within you will attract the moths that it's supposed to attract. And it's the best way I can put it, man. You know, entrepreneurship is beautiful. While I do feel like everybody has something special, I do also feel like everybody's not an entrepreneur. And so just because you can't be an entrepreneur, it's still not a less than. You can still serve a great purpose for an entrepreneur. Or, you know, just serve a purpose for yourself. But yeah, I still want to push people who have the abilities to be entrepreneurs to be the best version of themselves that they can be so that they can be the best version of an entrepreneur.
So, in what ways do you collaborate with local organizations to achieve community goals?
You know what? They kind of just come. They kind of just come without too much effort. I feel like today somebody sat here and talked to me about how they can throw this convention, this big convention on entrepreneurship and actually fix their credit so that they can apply for SBA loans. And I was just like, oh, okay, this is pretty dope. I don't think that a lot of people have access to this information. You know, you can be funded up to $5 million by the SBA, but you got to have a certain level of income or a certain level of credit. And if you don't have both, you can just have one. But I don't feel like people have this information. So when people bring stuff like that to me, it just inspires me to connect with them so I can provide this information to my network and my following and my people. And yeah, so that's how I feel like the connection between certain other companies and businesses that you end up connecting with. The chamber, the Black Chamber, the Atlanta Black Chamber, they connected with me recently. A youth entrepreneurship conference contacted me recently over the summer. I participated in one of their events, and then other local brands they reach out to me to speak at certain events to actually empower their individual network. So that's how I've been working with other organizations within the community, just going out and giving back my time, giving back my energy and information. So yeah, that's how that's getting done.
So, what are some barriers to community development that you've encountered, and how do you address them?
You know, I feel like, and I don't want to say it like this, but I'm gonna just have to be real. When I work with my people a lot, is a lot of competition, and when I work with other races, it's a lot of opportunity. And I don't like the fact that when I work with other quote unquote competitors, because we're all doing the same thing, that's why we want to collaborate, right? Mm-hmm. So when you work with other competitors, it can look crazy when they're trying to hold you back when we're all trying to push something forward. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. I really don't like that. But when I work with other races, it's like, hey, Sel, like the call that I got about the big conference, you don't look like us, you know. But he wants to put me in rooms with other people that don't look like us that can help push an agenda of entrepreneurship. And I feel crazy not being able to take certain people with me. So I'm going to always reach back out and say, look, this is where we're going, right? But when I work with people that look like me, sometimes I don't get met with that same level of intensity about moving forward. It's more, I want to be the king of this castle. You know, making sure that I can keep you in a knight role or a bishop role or a rook role. And I don't, you know, I ain't going to get too deep into that because I'm all about my people. But it's something that I have encountered that has been a huge obstacle with us, sadly.
Well, Selvin, as you say that, let me just say this because, that point is very valid. For one thing, that is very valid. But, have you just thought that maybe some of those people, because it's not everybody.
It's not.
Have you thought that maybe those particular people are the ones that maybe not knowing how to be progressive movers and shakers and be positive in the growth, or maybe just not the people that actually fit that agenda?
Yeah. So it doesn't stop me from wanting to work with people. It doesn't stop me from wanting to get out and like, look, let's work together. Because even still, I'm going to say yes until recently when I've become more spiritually awakened in certain events I'm not going to do. But more than likely, if they reach out, I'm still going to work with them, knowing that, because it's not about them, it's about the message. And so I just don't like feeling certain kinds of ways when I'm working with people. I don't like feeling like I'm being held back. So I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to do me. And my lady, she likes to say, show up in spaces where you're celebrated and not tolerated. That's one she always says that, right? And I agree with that to a certain extent because I'm gonna show up regardless, whether I'm celebrated or tolerated, because this message and this mission is not about me. It's about what I'm sitting here to do. But
Right.
yeah, man, I'm just gonna keep working with the people, and then eventually I'll find the people who fit. I'll find the people who are supposed to be there, and I'll keep them there as long as they're keeping me there. You know.
There you go. That's where it's at. And I'm a whole lot older than you, but I'm gonna tell you something. You see, when I ran across that, I'll just tell you, I took it personal because I found it to be really hurtful.
Mm.
And I found it to be hurtful because, I'm thinking more, just in terms of how I think you're thinking about this as being a really big thing where we can all go and do this and we all growing and making things happen.
Okay.
Well, the competition is that way because those are the people that I can guarantee you 500% that as you continue to walk up that ladder, they see you walking up that ladder without them, they're going to get even more upset for the wrong reason and try to throw something up there to grab your leg and pull you back down. That's natural.
Crabs in the barrel, right?
That's natural.
But check this out, and I'm not even. This is all new to me. This is all new to me. I'm not trying to front. I typically am not a happy person or a nice person until like recently. I'm learning how to walk and move with love. Right? I'm naturally very mean due to me being raised from up north and a bunch of other factors. It's nothing on my heart. I've been trying to fix my heart posture. It's nothing on my heart but to help that brother or that sister come up with me. So it's not on me to judge what you did. It's not on me to judge how you treated me. It's on me to show you real love, especially in the moments when you're showing me hate. Mm-hmm. One of the hardest things to do. I'm telling you, I know it. I know that it is. To know that you're talking behind my back, to know that you're doing foul stuff, to know that you're doing everything that you know that you're not supposed to be doing. But I'm going to still reach my hand back and pull you up. Why? Because I'm going to show you what God put in my spirit and what God put on my heart and how genuine all of this really is. Mm-hmm. Now, once you cross a certain line, I'm sorry. I'm not letting you back. Like, that's just something that I can't do. But as long as you keeping it at least trying to be cordial, I can work with that. And maybe at a certain point, my heart will get better and I'll even be able to work with even more. But yeah, man, I'm going to still pull up people. I'm going to still show you, because people are ahead of me. It's never people that's behind me that's trying to hold me back. And I think for most people, it's the opposite. It's people that's behind them trying to hold them. But no, these people are ahead of me that's trying to be like, no, stay here. Stay where I can recognize you. Stay where you make sense to me. Mm-hmm. But that ain't what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to do what I'm supposed to do and trust and believe I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So how do you engage young people in the community to foster future leaders?
By being recognizable, man. I feel like that's how you really reach the youth. I watched a clip the other day about, Shannon Sharp?
Yes.
So Shannon Sharp got all this crazy stuff going on. I know. I'm not getting into that part of it. But what I am getting into is young Dro. He said, I met Shannon Sharp the other day and I expected him to be way blacker than he was. Like, which is a crazy thing to say, right? But he was like, hey, brother, how you doing? Like, that's not how, typically we greet each other. So that was a funny statement in itself, right? But I'm using that as an example to say sometimes we get so far detached from where we started that we can't even relate to those people anymore, right? So as a youth, when they're looking at some adults, we're so far detached from being a child that we can't relate to children. We're so far detached from being in that space where we were trying to figure it out and we want to look like somebody who's got it all figured out and somebody who looks like somebody that you're supposed to follow instead of just being human. Instead of just being childlike and saying, look, this is my energy, this is what I want to show you, and this is where it could get you. Mm-hmm. Guide them more so than teach them. I feel like it's the best way to get through to the youth. Mm-hmm. I'm not an authority figure. I'm just like you. I just got a little more years. That's the approach I feel like that works well with children. I recently did a presentation for a youth center with someone, and we both had two vastly different approaches to getting through to these kids, and it showed. And I feel like when you come from so much of an authoritative standpoint, you're going to lose them. Like you could get certain people like that, but for the vast majority, and that's what we want to talk about numbers, right? We want to reach the masses. You got to stay youthful, and you got to stay exuberant, and you got to stay relatable and identifiable. And even myself, I struggle with that. But that's the goal.
So, what advice would you give to aspiring community advocates looking to make an impact?
Be real. Look, be you. Be professional, you know, but you got to be real. You got to be authentic. You have to be something that people can connect to, and people can see the fake and they see right through it, you know, and they can see the real and they attract to it. So yeah, man, no matter what you're doing, if you want to be a community activist, an advocate, if you want to speak, you want to get on a platform, you got to be genuine.
Yes, you do.
You got to really be real. You see, you got an artist. Who's your favorite artist, Mr. King?
Prince.
Prince. Now, how many Prince interviews did you watch?
All of them.
Look. So you watch Prince interviews because you wanted to see the human aspect.
Right.
You wanted to get behind the artist. The music is what got you, but the personality is what kept you. Right. So yeah, you gotta be real, and that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because as now one thing I will say, now I could not fall into the real zone when they say he passed, because that was like the craziest thing I could ever remember, and I was at work when that happened. So I just try not to even think about that, because I still don't believe he's dead.
Oh man, look, you got to believe it, man. You got to believe it now.
Tell us, how do you balance your career as a consultant with your commitments to the community?
It's all one big job, man. My time in business is my time in business, and my time for personal and family is my time for personal and family. So I don't look at it as different. It's just work. When your mission is in alignment with everything that you do, it's all work.
So what advice would you give to someone looking to start their career as a business consultant?
I mean, like I said, have a proven system, man. I feel like the Tesla model is the best way to go. See, I'm going to say this. One of the worst things you can do in business is solve broke people's problems. One of the best things that you can do is solve rich people's problems, right?
Okay.
One of the worst things that you can do as a business consultant is have a niche where you're trying to focus on people who don't have money. So if you're trying to be a business consultant and you're operating within a niche, make sure that you're operating in a niche that can actually make sense. You know what I'm saying? I was in one of my mentor's offices, and he actually declined an invitation that I had to a specific event that I was doing. And I was like, well he was like, I'm going to tell you, you got a good energy. I can see that your focus is right there. But I look at this flyer and nothing about this says this is somewhere that I need to be. And I was like, why? He said, I look at this and you're attracting social media managers. And this is not a shot at anybody. I just want to say what I was told. And he said, you're saying social media managers and photographers and videographers and influencers and YouTubers. And what makes you think that any respectable business that has an actual business, that actually has a building, that actually has taxes to pay, is looking at this as somewhere that they really want to be? And I was like, He said, Selvin, you're solving broke people problems and you're making your life harder than it has to be. And when he said that, a lot of stuff really shifted in my spirit, because these are my people. You're not about to talk about people. You know what I'm saying? You're not about to call my people broke. Like, these are people that I've been servicing for years. But at the end of the day, it's right. It's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have a choice to make. Again, my lady, she always says, choose your hard. Choose what you want to make hard in your life. And you don't want to have making money as a hard thing for you to do in your life.
Right.
So make it easy for yourself. And that's the advice that I would give an aspiring business consultant. Solve a problem in a market that makes sense. If you're a consultant, what are you consulting? I consult sales. I consult lead generation. I consult targeted advertisement. Why? Because that all revolves around making money. And so if somebody has a money problem, more than likely I can help them solve it. If somebody has an idea problem, if somebody has a branding issue, it's not really my wheelhouse. But I have people around me that help me with stuff like that. But you got to solve a problem that makes sense. And I'm going to leave it there.
I like that. How do you handle setbacks or failures in your consulting work?
Ain't no such thing as a failure. It's an obstacle. Really, an obstacle is just a hurdle. So you got to figure out how you're going to get over that. See, I'm a solution-based thinker. I don't really focus on the problem. I focus on how we're going to get rid of this problem. You know what I'm saying? So whatever's going wrong, we got to right the ship to get it right. I have whole days where I just sit back and I think about what's going on in my business, what's going right and what's going wrong. So I can take out what's going wrong and I can do more of what's going right. You know what I'm saying? If you're not adding things back into your business regularly, you're probably not subtracting enough. And if you're not subtracting enough, you're not making modifications. You have to keep engineering. You don't have a $1 million business, right? If you don't have a $1 million business, then you need to keep adjusting. You need to keep moving stuff around, switching parts, saying this is not working in my onboarding process. So I need to take that out. But my lead generation was affected when I took that out. So now I'm putting that back in. Oh, now my email marketing is affected. So you got to see what's working, man. And you got to just pull, put back, pull, put back, pull, put back until you got it. And when you get it, you're going to know that you got it.
All right. What are some personal development practices you find essential for success in your field?
Constantly working on yourself. You see this yellow book right here, The Power of Discipline? You got to keep reading. You got to keep working this. This is the best muscle that you have. You know what I'm saying? Another mentor told me, now I know that this is not true at this point, but he told me that you never get rich by working, you get rich by thinking, right? That's not true. You can definitely get rich by working because you can leverage your 9 to 5 to get credit, to buy homes, to get equity, to get more homes and play the real estate game. You can definitely get rich by working. That's some cat that they try to feed y'all, man. And also, they've been going back and forth about buying homes. I'm just throwing this tidbit in. They've been going back and forth about the real estate. Oh, it's more effective and efficient if you don't own your home. Look, own some stuff. Get some land. I'm going to say that. But I'm going to say, to answer your question, work the mind. You have to consistently work the mind. You have to consistently learn things. You have to consistently introduce yourself to new ideas and new concepts and things that are unfamiliar to you so that you can expand. Now, whether that looks like reading, whether that looks like attending workshops, whether that looks like going to conferences, whether it's just traveling to different countries and different states if you can't leave the country. You know, move around, introduce yourself to new topics, introduce yourself to new scenes, introduce yourself to new people so that you can expand your brain. The more that you do, the more that you understand. And I'll leave it right there.
So how many times or how often do you read different books, and what kind of books do you read?
I read every day. There's a segment of my schedule that I read. Oh man, I'll show you. Oh, this phone died. Okay. But from 8:15 to 8:45, I read every day. Every single day is a part of my schedule. Now, I don't give it the same attention every day. Sometimes I might just read a Bible verse. Sometimes I might read a self-help book. I like self-help books, but a lot of them are just giving you the same thing over and over again. Sometimes I might just play an audio book. Sometimes I may listen to a lecture or read an autobiography of somebody that I really appreciate and respect. You know, like the topics are going to range. Sometimes it's going to be business. Sometimes it's going to be on personal development as a man. Sometimes it's going to be on spiritual development. But no matter what, I'm making sure that my eyes are looking at some kind of words or my ears are receiving new information for this period of time every day.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
5 times a week. I'm saying 5 times a week because my weekends are my weekends. But Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday.
So, how do you cultivate a growth mindset in yourself and your clients?
You know what? A growth mindset comes from actually experiencing failures. You cannot grow if you haven't failed. So I think the way that I cultivated a growth mindset was going through every hardship that I ever had to make it through. And I kind of speak about my life experiences. So when I'm giving that to somebody, like I told you, I got 19 arrests. I got felonies out the wazoo. I've been in jail more times than I have fingers and toes. So how does that not stop me, but you telling me because you don't have a license or because your baby mama's getting on your nerves or because you can't find somebody to watch your child or because your car's broken down or because your job is not paying you what it should be. You're telling me that these are realistic excuses that you can give me? You can't tell me a lot of BS because I already know with no license, I traveled around the country with no with no ability to actually find employment. I made money. You can't give me any excuse because I'm gonna call it out as just that. That's an excuse, my brother. That's not a reason. That's a reasoning in your mind, but that's just some BS, and we're gonna call that what it is. You know.
Well, I'll just say, some people are shackled in the brain. That's what that is.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
What vision do you have for your work in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oof, man. Honestly, and I'm gonna speak on it. I'm compelled. He said, be real. What I'm gonna say is gonna sound a little far fetched, but I want to do Kingdom business conferences throughout the country where we are highlighting businesses and brands that are faith-based throughout the entire country nonstop. I'm going to be a moving train. Now, hopefully I have a big enough team where I don't have to do everything all the time, but that's my ultimate goal right now. I want to work just like I did all of this. So I'm gonna be real with you, CZ. I feel like a lot of the work that I've done, especially in entertainment, I was giving the devil a platform. I feel like I was giving the devil a platform. I'm telling people to come to these clubs. I'm telling them to come get drunk. I'm telling them to come. They're making bad decisions. They're fornicating. They're getting depressed. They're living in their sin. I'm creating a platform for sin, and I've done it for 7, 8 years. Now, what I told you earlier, right? We got to flip that switch, and everything that we poured into negatively, we got to make it positive. And so now I have to make that positive. And so where I was promoting negativity, promiscuity, philanthropy, I want to come and show God that I'm going to build for his kingdom. Now, I went to a sermon the other day, and he spoke about the Simon Peter story. And he said, go be a fisher of men. And that right there is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing on this earth at this point. I'm supposed to bring everybody to God, as many people as I possibly can, through my skill set of being able to organize people. Now, business consulting, that's a way for me to help the kingdom. That's a way for me to make it possible. That's a way for me to attract these wealthy minds and then help them become wealthy. It's easier for me to say, yo, let's do this. This is what I want to do. It's easier for me to get 7, 8 minds together to say, let's go buy this mall. Let's go buy this shopping center. Let's go buy this business. It's easy for me to do that when I help you get that money in the first place. It's easy for me to attract people when I'm already doing the things that I've been talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be a platform for positivity. I want to be a platform for growth, and I want to be a tool for transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that I was reaching, you'd be surprised who responded when I said I'm going to God. I was surprised. I'll tell you that for sure. When I said I'm no longer doing events that no longer promote God, that no longer praise God, I said I'm not doing it. I'm shutting it down.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost money this week because I shut down events. I lost deposits I'll never see again.
Oh wow.
That's how convicted I am to do this, man.
Mm. Wow. So, we talk about we do Black History 365 here.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
And when I ask you about who was one of the major influences in Black history to you, you mentioned Malcolm X.
Yes, sir.
And so I want you to tell us how has Malcolm X influenced your personal philosophy and approach to life?
Malcolm X has really inspired me because I closely resonate with his story. Not so much as having a rough childhood and being raised in the earlier portions, but when he went to jail and it changed his life, I resonate with that part of his story. And him coming home, he got immediately into his religion. And I think a lot of times it's the same thing with Martin Luther King. They don't really give them the reverence that they deserve as a religious leader. They were religious leaders. Both of them spoke about religion, and that's what gave them their platform, right? They're looked at as activists. But I look at Malcolm X and his tenacity to dive headfirst into what it is that he believed in, to a point where he became a pillar in that community without even trying. It was effortless. The conviction that he spoke with, the certainty that he moved with, and the passion that he had behind his words really resonated with me, man. I even got my glasses after Malcolm X. Like,
oh wow. Oh,
I believe so much in his method, but the thing that stood out the most was that when he realized he was wrong, he did not miss a beat when he changed. When it was Elijah Muhammad saying, now I don't want no Muslims to come after me. Please don't come after me. But when Elijah Muhammad was preaching these things about the Black Negro and that what we needed to do was just focus on black. And then when he went to his pilgrimage and he went to Mecca and he found out that it was a bunch of people who were Muslims that did not look like us. And he brought that message home. And he said, I was wrong. He didn't miss a beat in admitting his wrong, his accountability right there. And now I think, honestly, look, I ain't gonna get too much into it. I think that's why they killed him, because he was about to become powerful because more people was about to get behind his movement.
Well, he was already there because he was larger than Elijah Muhammad.
Exactly. And now he's pushing a movement that has no color.
Well, that's a whole that's a different pill. That's more of a different kind of pill, shall I say. So and I can just tell you being of Islam that yes, that was different and that made a difference. It really did.
I'm sorry, you Islamic?
Yes.
Okay, look. I don't mean no disrespect. I'm just speaking what I feel, man.
No, but that was all true. Okay. That was all true, and that's why I try to get a lot of people to read the best version of his autobiography. Is that one that was done by Alex Haley?
Yes, sir.
That one is the one that they actually used to teach from.
I read that book when I was 13.
Yes.
I read books like I told you who it was, right? But I picked somebody else before him.
Right. Yes.
That's really my trio: Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. If I can paint my picture, that's my archetype of my mindset, man.
Well, Marcus Garvey will forever have an impact on Georgia. You know that, right?
Why you say that?
Because that's his gold that's on the gold dome.
Okay. There you go.
That's his gold.
That's his gold.
That's his gold.
I didn't know that. I keep learning something every day. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because
that is his goal. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. I'm looking into that. Speak it off.
Can you recall a specific moment or speech by Malcolm X that resonated with you?
You know what? And I know this is going to sound crazy because it's his most famous one. But when he spoke about we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. Mm-hmm. I thought about saying that so many times in my speeches. Like it's funny to me because it's like it sets a standard of how he really felt about America, you know. And then you can also go into when he did his post-speech interview and he talked about the chickens coming home to roost with America. I feel like that was also very pivotal. You know, that's what actually got his silence from the nation. So I feel like that was a very powerful statement. They didn't want him speaking on that, but he was just so compelled to say what was on his mind.
That was the truth. That was the truth.
And that's why I feel like those two kind of stand out to me when you talk about his speeches, you know.
Well, you know, I will tell you this. I've got 2 different books of speeches because he did an enormous amount of speeches, but there was one speech he did in particular at Harvard University. I think it was 1962, 3, 4, or 5. I can't remember which year it was. That was a very impactful speech itself because, you know, he had a way with words.
Okay.
And the way he spoke in that particular speech, you know, he set the world on fire with that. Those that did not look like him did not like the idea of him not having to get ugly, but use the words of the English language as the way he did to let it be known who the real thieves, evil devils were, and things of that nature. He put it out there. That is something that I think they try to teach him right. They teach some things about him right now at some of these Ivy League schools. Yeah. But they refuse to teach Black history in what's that in the first part of school, 1st through 12, or even in some colleges, most colleges, shall I say. Yeah. But only at those schools they want to teach you about Malcolm X. Why is that?
He was powerful, man. He was powerful. Like, to be spoken about 60, 70 years after your death, man, it just shows how impactful you were in your life. And he didn't even live long in his purpose. And that's the even more powerful part about it. In lifespan, you can look at somebody like Malcolm X and say he was just getting started. You know, yeah, man. I hate that we didn't get a lot of him, but I felt like we got enough of him. And it'll always be impactful. You know, the movie Malcolm X. For a long time, I thought Denzel Washington was Malcolm X, but that movie at the end, it said, "I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X." When all the little kids were saying that stood out to me because it's like we all are him. We carry his spirit. If you do, if you don't, you don't. You know what I'm saying? But if you do, then you do. Some people was more Martin Luther King, turn the other cheek. He was more common sense. Not self-defense, it's common sense. Like, you know, it's about holding your own, and like if I could look at it as a better representation of a man versus who they were trying to push and what they were trying to push on Black America at that point. You know, through Garvey inspired Malcolm, through Malcolm inspired the Black Panthers, which inspired Khalil Muhammad, which inspired Louis Farrakhan, which inspired, like, no matter what, like, it's you can like, to this day, like, what's the brother name? Like, I know you know who I'm talking about. The light-skinned brother, he got the part RZA.
I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like it's all the same spirit that you see moving throughout the nation, moving throughout time, and it's, you can say it was Marcus Garvey, but I think more people will resonate with the spirit of Malcolm X. And yeah, so I ain't gonna get too much into that, man, but I'm really into Black history. I love my people, and like he's one of the standout characters for forever when it comes to me and how I am and how I carry myself through this world.
In what ways do you see Malcolm X's ideas reflected in your business practices?
Look, by any means necessary. Like I know these are all cliches, but by any means necessary, it has to be done. The work has to be done. I got a common saying that I say is the money is in the work, not the ideas, right? Like the ideas, you can have as many of them as you want to, but without the work, you'll never get it done. And how do you get the work done? By any means necessary. That's how I feel like he shows up in my work, because I'm really passionate about what it is that I do. I wake up on fire, and if it don't set my soul on fire, I don't want it.
I like that. How does Malcolm X's legacy inspire your approach to community work?
It inspires me to get out and speak, man. Like it really inspires me to get out and speak, because I look at what he did and how he was able, like he was in the era of the soapbox. Like, you know, we go get the soapbox, stand out there with the
microphone.
Yeah, and just get it done. So like just watching how passionate he was about being in the community and doing the community and loving your brother and sister and encouraging and being a positive role model for somebody for them to actually look up to. And it's not about that. I don't wear these collars because it makes me feel comfortable. I wear these collars because I want to look a certain way when you look at me, you know. And like I'm t-shirt, sweatpants, and Timbs, real spill. Like that's my real personality. But when it comes to presenting yourself into the world, that's what I love about the nation. It's the organization. It's the commitment to excellence. It is really the brotherhood. You're not going to remember these brothers out here.
There's two parts to that.
Okay.
So you know, the nation is not Orthodox Islam.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So there's two parts.
Okay.
So
okay.
Louis Farrakhan is the nation.
Yes.
The Orthodox is different than that.
Yes, sir. Of course. Yeah, the Nation of Islam. Okay. I understand. But you understand my point, though. I appreciate you making the differentiation, but you understand my point where I was going.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the dedication to excellence, man. And that's how I feel like it shows up. That's, you know, I was gonna make another point, but we can get past that.
Yeah. No, actually, no, you're fine. I just want you just to so you'll know, you know, especially when you're speaking with others, that you'll know that there are two parts. So where Louis Farrakhan is, that's not Orthodox Islam.
Yes, sir.
So it's basically like you having Baptist and Presbyterian or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, sir.
So they're two different things.
I got you.
What lessons from Malcolm X do you believe are most applicable to modern day entrepreneurs?
I would say change is possible. And when you change, stay dedicated to your change. Like, life is going to throw all kind of curveballs at you. Business will throw curveballs at you. The way I started in Manifest the Market is not the way that I'm operating in Selvin Presents. But Manifest the Market set it off. It pushed me in the right direction. I was not in love with the vehicle. I was in love with the destination, right? So I say that Malcolm X started somewhere and he ended somewhere totally different. So just be in love with the destination and be in love with understanding that how you get there is not so important. Just like we talked about a little earlier. I feel like Malcolm X is a great example of that. You know, went from a robber to stealing the hearts of American Black people, and making them feel like this is possible. This brother came and he did such beautiful work within our community. So stay committed to the work. Stay committed to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Not being famous, not being an influencer, not being popular, but being effective, being impactful.
How do you think Malcolm X's views on empowerment shape your consulting methods?
That's a good question. You had a lot of very good questions. Like, oh, I gotta say that. How did Malcolm X view my consulting methods? Shape my consulting methods.
The empowerment shape.
I feel like Malcolm X. Now, I did not know him. I can only go off what I've read, what I've watched on movies, what I've seen on documentaries. But I feel like he was like a no nonsense kind of guy.
He was.
He was straight to the point.
Yes.
And that's honestly how I give it up. I don't hold punches. And I don't do that to be mean, even though I told you I'm a little mean, but I don't do that to be mean. It does not come from a mean place. It comes from an honest place.
Right.
And because I'm honestly real and authentic with you about how I feel about something, I think that it gauges or it calms somebody into believing and trusting who I am and trusting my words. And so because he had a no-nonsense approach, I have a no-nonsense approach, and I'm going to give it to you like this. Do you trust somebody who will tell you the truth all the time? Or do you trust somebody who cares about your feelings enough to tell you a lie?
Ooh, don't tell me no lie. But you know something? I think, it sounds like the by any means necessary is the whole approach is where you are with that.
Look, I'm telling you, if you know me, you know that already. They're like, look, they love working with me because I'm gonna get it done. If I tell you something, it's gonna get done. It might not get done in a time frame. I might have said a week, and it might have took me 4. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. This is what's going to happen. This is what I feel. This is what I'm going to try to do. And I bet you, even if I don't get it done, you're gonna see the progression. You're gonna see every single time I try, it's gonna get closer and closer and closer to what I said I was gonna get done.
So, can you share a time when Malcolm X's teachings guided a decision in your career?
When I was, in my career. I mean, it's going to keep going with the by any means necessary, and so I don't want to be redundant. So I'm just going to say no. I'm just going to say no because I don't want to keep saying the same thing.
Well, if that's the truth, that's just the truth.
Okay. Well, look, a decision that I had to make recently in shutting down everything. Now, I think that people look at business and they look at their lifestyle and they look at what it's doing for your life and paying your bills and your livelihood. And you might say that what I did was irresponsible, or you might say that what I did was not keeping my word to what I told people that I would do, right? But God put something on my heart. And one thing about it is I care about pleasing him more than I care about pleasing any man or woman on this earth, right? So when there is a by any means necessary mindset that I do have, it's complete immersion into whatever it is that I believe in. So if I believe in God and he said, Selvin, if it's not of me, if it's not for me, cut it off. You got to know that I'm doing that by any means necessary.
Cut off.
It's just finito. I made calls, I text messaged some people that I felt like was going to try to convince me out of it. I'm like, look, I can't do this. It's shut off. It's canceled. Certain people responded. Certain people understood completely. I tell you one thing: when it concerns God, people don't like to play with that.
Right.
They understand. They might be saying whatever they want to say. They might be throwing dirt on my name, but whatever it is, they understand that I'm not playing about my mission. And I feel like that right there meant more to me than anything. So yeah, by any means necessary, dictated that decision.
So how do you believe Malcolm X's story can motivate future generations in business?
The change, man. Malcolm X's story of criminal to world leader is so inspiring. Like, even to me, maybe because I can relate, you know what I'm saying? But I don't relate to all criminals. I don't relate to Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? He's a criminal. But I relate to Malcolm X. He's a criminal. Now, I'm a Republican, by the way, too. I'm going to say that. But I'm not. I don't relate to Donald Trump and being a criminal in his story. I don't relate to that. But I relate to Malcolm X's story and from coming from a criminal, from a space of I did wrong, to fixing your wrongs and doing right, and being a image of change and redemption, and being an image of Black power. I love that, and I feel like that should be able to spark, no matter where you are in your life. Like you told you, I promote the strip clubs. I've met prostitutes. I've sat down with prostitutes. They are some of the most beautiful spirits. They've just been misguided. Now, I've met drug dealers. I've been in the trap house. They are some of the coolest people in the world. They just misguided. A lot of times it's the resources, not the desires, that we lack. And just because you have people like Malcolm X in existence, we can inspire and spark change within people like that to make them do great, amazing things in this world. And that's what I really feel. So
you love his resilience, his ability to come back and rise like the phoenix when he was down in the ashes and burning and he rose.
Look, you say resilience, you say tattoos cover. This is my first business. I don't know how to show it. It's not. That's I got my first business tattooed on my arm. I'm getting it covered with a phoenix, man. So you said all of the key words. And resilience, that's literally what I felt like God said, go show your resilience. So that I view those things as so important. And I view his life as an anecdote for that message right there, man.
Well, his spirit will continue to linger. Don't care how many years this earth is still barren. Yep. His spirit is going to remain because it's just that powerful and just that strong. So when they used the term back in the day, too black, too strong, that remains forever. That remains forever. Too black, too strong. So can you tell us what aspects of Malcolm X's commitment was wrong?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What aspects of Malcolm X's commitment to social justice do you try to incorporate into your work?
I feel like a lot of my focus for a long time has been Black power. I went to an all-Black African private school from kindergarten through 9th grade. I went to Morehouse College before I got kicked out. I believe in my people. I want to be surrounded by my people. And I think that Malcolm X was a great representative before he transitioned. And I think that at this point, at 36, I'm transitioning into a space where I am embracing everybody because God has no color. And so I should love as Jesus loved, which he loved everybody. And but that part of Malcolm X's story about being so driven to empower your people, when you look at it, when we spend $1.8 trillion as a people, but our dollars don't circulate within our community for longer than 4 or 5 hours, is a problem. Where the next generation, I think the next group was Asian Americans at $8.4 trillion, and their dollars circulate for 27 days within their community. You know, you got white America, their dollars circulate 17 days within their community. Black people have a problem because we've been disproportionately put in a place where we can't support ourselves and then we don't support each other. And so we're always behind the 8 ball. And so my intention was not just to focus on Black people because, this is just what it is. No, because we need the most help. We need to give attention to the people who need it the most. And I have white friends. I have white mentors. But I still tell them to their face, I'm focused on my people. Now, when I go into this space, of course, I have to embrace everybody. Of course, I'm holding hands and we kumbaya until I'm out of here from this point on. But we have to put a magnifying glass on the problems so that we can really come up out of that. And so what Malcolm X did was put a focus on Black America. And until now, for the last 2 years, I had a focus on Black America. And so that's how I feel like it actually showed up in my business.
So how do you engage others in discussions about Malcolm X's impact on business and community leadership?
I really don't talk about Malcolm X a lot in the public.
Mhm.
I think it's primarily because I don't speak about certain things in public, which
Mhm.
are my beliefs that are strong, that are too strong for general conversation, right?
Mhm.
I feel passionately, as you could probably tell. I done sat up in my chair when we started talking about Malcolm. So
Mhm.
I feel so strongly. I can get argumentative. I could get like, look, I don't even want to hear what you have to say about it because this is how I feel about it. And so that's one of them topics that I hold for home and close friends, right?
Mhm.
So I don't use Malcolm as a pivotal point in my conversation outside of outside of my close tight knit groups. I'll say that.
Mhm. Okay, and finally, what message would you like to leave with our audience, with your audience, about the importance of combining business success and community impact?
Okay, I would say when you talk about community and business, one revolves around the other, man. I feel like a lot of times, especially, well, I'm not even going to say that because it happens all over the world, but we like to take money and run.
Mhm.
We like to get money, we like to find success, benefit off of a certain group, in certain cases, exploit our own people for financial gain, and then we run off and we want to be like everybody else. We want to hang out in rooms with everybody else. But there comes a time where we have to give back into the community. Excellence is not just in dollars. Excellence is in personality. It's in how you show up for your community. If you're not giving back, if you're not pouring into these community centers, if you're not going to these schools, if you're not showing these children what it is to look like black excellence, to me, you're not black excellence. You're just somebody who made some money. You got to pour into your community. I want to build businesses within my community to not say, hey, I got a business over here so that I can help employ the community, so I can give benefits to the community. It's not a one-sided thing. And so you have success. Yes, you get money, but for what? You can't take it with you. You want to give it to your kids so they can be straight. Yeah, I understand legacy, but that's what some of your work. That's what real estate's for. That's what life insurance is for. We want to build things and we want to create a legacy that can outlive us. And a lot of that is about the community. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? We talk about Malcolm. Malcolm did not last because he made a bunch of money. Malcolm lasts because he made an impact within the community. When you
Mhm.
say this is what you're about, the last thing I want to hear about is money. The last thing
Mhm.
I want to hear about is money. If you're money driven, I recently let go of a client because she was too concerned about money. Her vision was consumed by her greed. I
Yep.
do not want people around me that are too consumed with money.
Mhm.
Principles, morality, these are the things that matter. And you have to show that within your community. If you scared to walk down the street with your success, who did you really do it
Mhm.
for?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
But I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it right there, man, because I get on my soapbox and you'll never hear the end of it.
So just in closing, what do you want to leave our audience with? That is any words of wisdom, how they can contact you, how they can follow you on social media, any of those things. What are your closing messages?
Okay. My name is Selvin Hicks. I own Selvin Presents. You can follow me at Selvin Hicks pretty much on everything. At Selvin Hicks on Instagram, Selvin Hicks on LinkedIn, Selvin Hicks Official on TikTok. I'm pretty easily accessible if you wanted to email me, selvinpresents@gmail.com. I really just want people to understand that don't do it for yourself, do it for God, because through God's blessings, you'll be able to receive more than you can even imagine. His kingdom, his abundance, his success principles, his financial principles are all written in that book that you're so afraid to read. So go ahead, get in your Bible, stay prayed up, and do business from the right place. If you want to do business with me, we gonna make some money. If not, I hope that this interview gave you something that you can apply in your business to where you can make money. Uh, I appreciate the opportunity, brother. This was definitely a great interview. The questions were amazing. The opportunity, humbling, and I can't wait to do this again sometime when I hit a different plateau.
Oh, most definitely. So I want to tell you that I appreciate you for being here, and really, this was a wonderful interview where I'm more than sure that not just myself but the people that are watching got a lot from this, because what you have displayed tonight is more than just perseverance and resilience. What you have is that stick to itiveness that says you're not going to quit and you're going to continue because you know that there's a better way.
Yeah.
Despite how things may have started, look at the change now. Look at the phoenix rising. Look at where you're going now. You're able to bounce back. Those of you that are out there watching, what you should take from this is that everybody has a hiccup in some shape, form, or fashion. Doesn't mean that it's your end all be all. But if you fall and you don't get up, then that's on you.
That's on you.
But if you get up, that means that you're going to make a change and you're going to do better because you don't intend to fall again. We all may fall, but that does not mean that it's all about being broke. You've got to keep going. And Mr. Hicks has been the perfect example of what it is to be resilient. Now, being a young professional as he is, and how he's developing, not just honing in on his skills of communicating with people, but helping people to understand not only how to communicate, but how to move and be better in making your business that much more better. Now, if you're trying to go into entrepreneurship, he's giving you more tools than you probably would ever be able to read in a book. So you just have to be able to say, hey, this is something that I want to do. What I would suggest to each and every last one of you that are watching tonight is that you make that effort to contact Mr. Hicks, because I'm more than sure that as he's doing consultancy and he's growing the way he's growing, and think about the area that he's here in Metro Atlanta. So that means that he has to have something that's being special about what he do, and he knows what he's doing and how to do it. I just say, reach out and find out, because he just gave it to you anyway. For those of you that have been watching on the YouTube channel, I'm going to ask, if you haven't, please hit the subscription and notifications button, where you can not only get this show, but every show that we do live, you'll get that notification that the show is about to go live and you can watch it live. You will also have the opportunity to go back and watch each and every show that we have done. And you yourself can get the idea of knowing that this platform is more than just about building communities, but it's about building and promoting those in our communities that look like us, that need to be out there in the forefront, that's going to lead these communities and get everybody to a point of where they need to be. We know everybody don't think the same, but I can honestly tell you that if you're trying to do great and you're struggling, believe me, you're going to want to get some of this, because we give it to you here on this platform. I want to thank you all for watching this show tonight. Please watch us again next week. I want to thank you, Mr. Hicks, because you have been totally excellent, and we definitely got to have you back. And I want you all to have a great weekend, and we will see you all next week on America in Black and White, the hottest podcast in America. You all have a great evening and a great weekend.